You mentioned that most students wouldn't be ready when graduating, and I find this kind of funny because you enrolled in a degree for a couple of years, you've paid maybe lots of money, maybe it's for free, you've invested some years of your time not to be ready at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happens? Do you think it's the university's fault?
Universities need time to adapt their curriculum. So it's a matter of them not having enough time sometimes in the curriculum. Sometimes it's really up to the students. Oftentimes they graduate with solid foundation, but not enough practical skills. And this is where we come in.
Do you think we need a revolution in education?
That's a great question. I think we live in interesting times, and I think we're going towards a place where everything's happening with AI. So you're learning with AI, you're working with AI. So this becomes an essential tool, like your calculator way back when, and your phone now as an individual.
I completed the bootcamp and didn't complete a degree at a certain university or college. Is it enough to get a job?
Highly qualified talent is always in demand. There's enormous talent in Lebanon. The people here are hungry, driven, incredibly robust. The idea is to turn Lebanon into an amazing outsourcing destination.
Fadi, you have no clue what I'm gonna ask you, but why would you think someone should stay and watch this episode?
My specific episode?
Yeah.
This episode? I mean, I've been working in tech and in VC for 15 years now. So actually more than that. So I've amassed over the years experience both in technology and in tech startups, and I run my own business. So working with small businesses and how to manage them. At the same time, I was on the other side of the table, which is the investor side. And I also understand that mindset and what it takes to attract investment. So I can talk about both sides on the entrepreneurship spectrum, I guess that's the right term. And hopefully that will be interesting for the audience.
I'm sure it'll be. You're the founder and CEO of SE Factory. What is SE Factory?
Okay, so SE stands for Software Engineering Factory. It's kind of a special bootcamp meets recruitment meets HR. So 9-10 years ago, just for the story, I was working in venture capital in BY Ventures, which is a VC fund that was investing regionally and also globally. And all of those tech startups would come to us after we invest and say, we're struggling to hire, especially developers. We can't find developers. And I studied computer engineering. And I would tell those founders, why don't you just hire them from Lebanese universities? There's so many of them and the curriculum is good. And they would tell us they're not good enough. We need them to have more practical skills. And that was the intuition. So with my co-founder, Zena, we took the concept of the coding bootcamp, which is in the West, it's about teaching people who don't know how to code. So it's for beginners, for people who don't know anything. But with a twist, we are going to do a professional upskilling bootcamp. So people who already studied computer science or engineering from universities, train them on the latest technologies in demand by the job market, the latest tools or software libraries or any other thing that is required for a web developer or mobile developer, in a 3 months intensive bootcamp. And our theory, our hypothesis was, if we pick top people and we train them intensively, when they graduate, they will be highly employable. And this was the initial idea. And 9 years ago, we launched it and we trained a bunch of students or graduates, and they all got hired. So we developed it from there, and it became like a side project that I was really, really passionate about. At some point, it became a business. The companies who would hire would pay us if they recruited somebody successfully. So it's like a recruiter business model, but it's a recruiter, SE Factory is a recruiter that trains its own people. That's the difference. And then the company started asking us for more services, and we started gradually building more and more services. But in a nutshell, that's what we do. We upskill great talent in Lebanon, and we connect them with companies all over the world in the hopes that they would hire them.
You've mentioned that most students wouldn't be ready when graduating. And I find this kind of funny because you enrolled in a degree for a couple of years, whether it's engineering or computer science. You've paid maybe lots of money, maybe it's for free. But anyway, you've invested some years of your time not to be ready at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happens? Do you think it's the university's fault?
I don't really think so. I think universities, most of them, are trying their best. At the end of the day, the curriculum that they train on is the same American computer science curriculum that they teach in Europe or in the US or in China or anyway. It's computer science, it's
Yeah,
computer science.
100%. That's the case all over the world.
Yeah. So there are some things that maybe the students that graduate that leaves them a bit behind. First of all, it's just a matter of time. They don't have the time to acquire the latest tools because they change so fast. And universities need time to adapt their curriculum. And they need to teach a lot of theory because that's the foundation. You need solid foundation. Even now in the age of AI, you need solid foundation. So it's a matter of them not having enough time sometimes in the curriculum. Sometimes it's really up to the students. The top coders learn on their own and develop their skills on their own while they're studying at university. But many students perhaps don't have the opportunity to develop themselves outside of the university environment, or they don't know that they need to. They don't have the guidance or the mentorship. For any of those reasons, some of them sometimes have to work to be able to pay for tuition. So for many of those reasons, oftentimes they graduate with solid foundation, but not enough practical skills. And this is where we come in. So I always say, this is not about criticizing universities. There are great universities in Lebanon, and the professors there are doing their best. We are here to complement them, to act as an accelerator that makes them ready for the job market. That's how we see it.
Yeah, that's an amazing idea. I've discussed this matter with the president of LAU. We discussed the updating the curricula of a certain university. Do you think the current education system needs a huge update or revolution? Because this institution hasn't changed a lot for maybe hundreds of years.
Yeah,
Do you think we need a revolution in education?
that's a great question. So I would have answered one way 2 years ago before AI and ChatGPT, and not to make it like I'm drinking too much of the AI Kool-Aid and just overhyping it, but I think there's something to be said with how good those AIs are to help people learn. So generally speaking, I'm a believer in training on foundations. I'm a believer in the university system. There are people who tell you, you just be a founder, start your own company, you don't need a university degree. I disagree, respectfully. I think you need solid foundation and some ability to access or to be able to learn something that is more closely related to the needs of the job market wherever you are in whatever country or in whatever specialty you want to go in. You have to find a way to balance both. So I don't talk about revolution of the education system. Anyways, that's a much bigger thing. Do classrooms with like 30 people make sense, or 100 people? Is that the best way to learn? This is a much bigger question. One thing I think is interesting is I found, and the people I talk to really respond to this notion that AI really can assist you enormously when you are learning something. You want to digest a PDF or a video. You want a summary of it. You want to find insights, or you want to find new ideas, or you want to create a study program for a certain material. AI can really, really do it very well now. So I think this is a hypothesis. I'm not 100% sure. But I think we live in interesting times, and I think we're going towards a place where everything's happening with AI. So you're learning with AI. You're working with AI. So this becomes an essential tool, like your calculator way back when, and your phone now as an individual, to help you learn and work. That's how I see how an education will most likely evolve towards. Yeah, that's my general, but this is changing so fast. I think we're all trying to figure this out right now.
You're also the founder and managing director or general manager of HR Factory. What is the difference between SC Factory and HR Factory?
Sure. HR Factory came from our clients, from the SC Factory clients. So we were training people, 3 times a year. 3 times a year, we graduate a batch of very talented web and mobile developers and UI UX designers, and companies were hiring them. Over time, especially after COVID, more and more companies from outside Lebanon started hiring in Lebanon. It makes a ton of sense because remote work, coding and tech lends itself very well to remote work. Also, the good salary here is 1/3 or 1/2 of the salary of the same level in France or in London or in Dubai or in Montreal, where our clients are. Makes a lot of sense. So they were happy there. But then they started asking for additional services. They would tell us literally, guys, we love SC Factory, we love the team we built, we hired 5, 10 coders, all of that. we need to have other needs. We need to hire non-tech around that tech team, customer support, post-sales, pre-sale, customer success. We have traders, across the board. And can you help us with this? And two, we don't want to deal with the Lebanese complexity. What is Daman? What is Social Security? Do we need to set up a company? What are the rules of labor? How much time off can we give, etc., etc.? Should we give? So we're like, we got you. And we launched HR Factory. HR Factory basically helps overcome all of the hassle of setting up a team in Lebanon. So you want to recruit tech, HR Factory talks to SE Factory. Non-tech, we have our own recruiters for that. So all the specialties I mentioned. We have a legal entity in Lebanon. We legally employ people in Lebanon on our payroll on behalf of the client. This is called in the business EOR, Employer of Record. So we are an EOR that specializes in Lebanon. We handle all the things on the ground. We legally employ them, but also if they want to put them in an office space, we sign with the office space. If they want to get them private insurance, we get them that. We calculate and remit the social security taxes. We handle everything. So that all the clients needs to focus on is identifying the talent that they want, and then telling us, okay, I need you to get them to work legally, compliantly. We handle it in 2 weeks' time. They're operational and they just start working.
Wow.
So that's HR Factory. It complements SE Factory, obviously. And if you zoom out, what is the mission? The mission is to make it completely seamless for amazing international companies to build top-tier companies in Lebanon with zero hassle. That's the mission, if you want, from high above.
So it's like building a huge team with no hassle of recruiting, of anything related to company foundation and HR.
Yeah. We even offer training. If they want to train and upskill, we offer additional training for their employees as well. So yeah.
Let's go back a bit to SC Factory.
Yeah.
So SC Factory is a bootcamp, a training program for tech people in general. So why should I take this bootcamp at the first place? And who is it for?
Yeah. So initially it was purely for typically the typical student, and again we've trained thousands over the past 9 years. Typical person applying would be a recent graduate from university, computer science or engineering. They studied the foundations of coding, but they want to become a professional full stack web developer, which is not the same as just the foundations, knowing how the basics of coding.
Okay.
There's a difference between an amateur and a professional coder. And so we were gonna train on that. And the what we tell them is what is the outcome? The outcome is you acquire the equivalent of 1 year's worth of work experience, practical work experience, in 3 months. So it's a condensed practical work. So they're not learning a lot of theory.
Yeah.
For those who know, we teach Laravel, React, Flutter, now of course LLMs, AI, prompt engineering, the whole thing. But we teach a bit, and then they have a super hard coding assignment for next day. Build an app, deploy on AWS, research and use the APIs of OpenAI to create your own chat prompt, whatever. So they are giving very intensive tasks with short deadlines, like a real work environment, and they have to deliver. And the next day they have to showcase their code, and it's a code review session, and the trainers grill them. So why did you write it this way? Is this a secure way of coding? Is this a stable, scalable way of coding? Is this really solving the problem that the client needed? So all of these best practices that only come in a work environment, we try to mimic them as much as possible in SC Factory. So it's really not a classic bootcamp. It's a professional upskilling, hardcore type of training for the job market.
Can I get into SC Factory if I don't have a degree?
Yes, we don't. The criteria to get into SC Factory is not the degree, it's the knowledge. So the full stack, now it's full stack software engineering, the bootcamp. We've raised the level. Software engineering is one level above from web development. And what are the requirements? You need to know the foundations of coding. So you need to have taken 2 courses of coding. Typically there's 2 courses at university, entry level, and some basic web development, some PHP, MySQL, and so on. And then you get in. And then we do tests to verify. So we accept 10% of the people.
Yeah, what is the process?
So people apply. Again, you don't need a technically university degree. Most of them do have a university degree, logically.
Yeah.
But you don't really need, we don't actually require it. You need to have that knowledge. So if you have the basic requirements, you apply. First is an initial filtering. You fill a form, and then we just make sure that you have all of the basics. And then we do a coding test. So we have a coding tool, and you have to code something real time. You connect to a big Google Meet, and you have to code something, and then we get the grades, and the top X% go to the next phase. The next phase is a one-to-one interview. So our team interviews every single person who makes it to the shortlist. Why? Because we need to look for something other than your technical ability. We look for personality, drive, proactive person, somebody who's hungry to learn, who wants to commit, who wants to become a professional developer. Why do we do this? Because that's what companies tell us they want. When you ask companies, what are you looking for? They tell us, but an attitude. They want people who are driven and hungry and going to work hard. So we try to identify this during the one-to-one interviews. And if you pass those two hurdles, you're in the bootcamp.
And after this bootcamp, what happens? I've completed the bootcamp, passed all the exams or tests, and then what?
So you graduate with multiple projects that are deployed on AWS, and you have your code base on GitHub. So already you have like a profile, if you want, there. In addition, you have a business team. When you arrive to the end, there's graduation day. So we bring companies looking to hire. We have a network of companies, and we tell them, hey, we're about to graduate a fresh batch. Are you looking to hire software developers, engineers, and UI/UX designers? We get those who are in, and all of the graduates are placed on a portal, a web portal, where all of their profiles are shown. So short video intros of them, like a video CV, if you want.
Okay, they do a video about themselves.
We film them, film them. We make sure it looks good with good lighting and all of that. We have a soft skills trainer, by the way.
Wow.
So we have a soft skills curriculum in parallel to the technical curriculum.
That's very important for engineers.
Absolutely. Nobody trains at university. This is a weakness. Nobody trains on how to interview, how to look presentable, how to have a clean CV that's professional, etc. We train on all of that. We have a soft skills curriculum and in parallel to the technical curriculum. So all of this crystallizes into this hiring portal where their profiles are shown, short videos of them, their CV, their GitHub code repository, or their designs and their portfolio if it's UI/UX design. And there's a button which is interview me. And it clicks it to and then the company is looking to hire access that portal, and they can select who they want. They search by specialty or by anything, click on a button and book an interview.
Wow.
So not only do we try to upskill the talent to the level that the job market wants it to be, but we also try to make it as hassle-free for the companies to quickly find the talent that they're looking for. So we try to be the bridge between the two. And then the companies start interviewing, and if they like them, they can make a job offer, and then the person says yes, and that's it.
Do you think if I completed the bootcamp and didn't complete a degree at a certain university or college, is it enough to get a job?
It depends on the company. It depends on the level of the person. A brilliant software engineer who loves to code and who's coding a lot, who's built a very good profile online with GitHub repositories and other types of things, will be able to find work. Highly qualified talent is always in demand. Now, recently it's been a bit harder because globally there was a bit of a slowdown in the hiring. A lot of the top tier companies like Google and so on were letting go of developers. So now a lot of companies ask for more skills than before.
Yeah.
So basically the bar has raised a bit, but still a highly qualified person gets in. So it's not really about the degree. I know top tier software engineers who didn't finish university for financial reasons or personal reasons, whatever, and they still got excellent jobs, not just in Lebanon, but outside. So a highly skilled software engineer will get a job.
Just out of curiosity, what is the percentage of graduates that gets job offers at a C factory?
Yeah. So we used to be at 90%.
Wow.
Yeah, in all honesty, but the past year things have gone down a bit. We're at like 60-70% now because of this global slowdown. And also, the world of AI came in and LLMs, and we're just adapting. Like we're adding AI, we're adding LLMs, and the companies themselves, they tell us we're not really sure who to hire now. Just do we need to hire, or do we do like an AI vibe coding thing and so on. So we're going through an adaptation phase now. It's a bit more challenging than before. But we're doing our best to bring as many companies as we can.
Why do you think we saw this decline in jobs over a lot of industries.
Yeah, so no, basically the tech world was on a high, and there's venture capital money, tons of money was being poured into tech startups for the past 10, 15 years, and and after COVID, also enormous amounts of money were spent. So all of the top tech companies with enormous valuations and the top startups were hiring like crazy. They were hiring everybody anywhere in the world because they were growing very fast and because they didn't want their competitors to get that talent. So there was a massive shortage of developers, and we were riding that wave very well. At some point, globally and in the US in particular, they raised interest rates. There was a bit of an economic slowdown. The top tech companies, again, Google, Meta, and so on, laid off like thousands of developers, which meant that junior recent graduates were struggling all of a sudden to get work because those more senior ones from those top companies were also looking for the same job. So there was a bit of a glut, an increase in the number of available developers in the market. So it's basically these things are in cycles basically. So now it's still a bit slow, and eventually it will pick back up. Now there's the AI revolution and LLMs and all of that.
Yeah, how do you think this whole AI revolution, which I talk about in every episode, will change the way software engineers work?
That's an excellent question. So it's definitely making a massive impact. First of all, this is another discussion, but I don't believe in, we're going to get to AGI and complete artificial intelligence, all of that. This is, let's go back to Earth. LLMs and this type of AI is very, very, very good for the coding world because coding relies a lot on reusable parts. So a login feature, this is the best practice line of code, etc., etc. So LLMs trained on that can help you enormously to automate repetitive tasks. Instead of Googling it and finding it and copy pasting it, it does it for you on the spot, and it can find mistakes. So it is very powerful to the point that everyone almost instinctively who is a coder starts using them.
Yeah.
Like I recently, got back into coding, and I downloaded LLMs and I play with them on my laptop, and I downloaded a code editor, and there's an AI in it, Copilot, and then I just automatically started using it without even reading about how to use it. That's how intuitive it is. So it's definitely helping coders a lot. What happens is it's like Excel on steroids. It's basically a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
It's not going to replace accountants. When Excel came up, it didn't replace accountants and financial analysts. It's just that those people had to learn how to use Excel, and those who didn't learn struggled. So it's a very powerful tool that is definitely going to be part of the number of tools that a professional developer needs to know how to use and to use daily. But also, like any tool, you have to learn how to use it well, how not to abuse it, and how to adapt continuously to the changes in that. So this is happening right now as we speak. So it's a very exciting time, also a scary time. Will there be a smaller need for developers going forward? Because with AI, you can build much faster, much quicker. Some people say yes, but others say that now that things are much more easy, we can build more things. So the market expanded.
100% at a faster pace.
Exactly. So I tend to be on the more optimistic side. I think the market will expand. People will be building more things, more apps. So there will be more demand because you can do more at the same time. What is important is that sometimes technology moves very fast. A professional needs to be up to date on these things. We incorporate, every time we finish a bootcamp, we get feedback from companies, we update the curriculum. This is where we can be better than university because they're slower to adapt. We adapt, we added LLMs, we added prompt engineering. The next one we're going to do more.
But that thing is very tricky, right? Very tricky to constantly adapt this curriculum. How hard is it?
It's tiring. It's very tiring. The natural way of human beings is we want inertia. Like this is going well so far. I really don't want to learn the new things. I'm used to, I'm comfortable, and so on.
We want stability in a way.
Yeah, we all want it. It's a natural human thing. We need to fight it, unfortunately. If you want to stay competitive, and it's a very competitive space, coding, at the global level, you need to stay up to date on all the tools. And right now, and sometimes there are phases where tools are updating slowly. And there are times like we've been in the past 2 years where tools are updating very quickly. We just need to acknowledge this and just dive in. you just take this back
Roll
and
your
just
sleeves.
dive into the whole thing
Mm.
and figure it out.
Yeah, you were saying about that AI won't really replace engineers, and I totally agree with that because I was an engineer for 4 years, and I was an engineer or a developer before the AI revolution and after the AI revolution. And I think that, or yeah, I personally believe that it won't replace it. I didn't see in any of the companies I was in a decrease in the number of engineers that are being hired because of AI, but I've seen the pace at which management or clients expect deliverables to be done. This pace
Yeah.
really, really augmented.
Yeah.
We are expected to be working at a faster pace because you can now research a certain technology or a certain code with a matter of seconds
Yeah.
compared to before LLMs where you'll have to like surf a couple of websites, read, understand, and most of the material that you read wouldn't be really relevant for you. So it'd be wasting a lot of time to learn something and then implement it and then test it. But on the contrary, now you just ask for what you want, even if it isn't really clear, and then the LLM would understand and give you exactly what you want and explain in a very, very nice way or easy way what you're asking for, and then write the code and then you can use it. But what makes a good engineer is to know how to use it and where to use it
Yeah,
and how
absolutely.
much to use it, I think.
Absolutely. So this is all true. And don't forget also, let's say you joined a new company and there's a big code base. You can use AI, you can feed the code base to the AI and tell it, teach me that code base. And it organizes itself to explain to you the code. So you learn faster thanks to AI. Now, one engineer I really appreciate really well, he said that, or maybe I'm paraphrasing, he said that before coding used to take this most of the time, building the code, and then at the end there's a small amount of time spent on debugging and fixing the mistakes.
Yeah.
Now things have shifted with AI. Coding takes much less time because a lot of it is automated, but the debugging part takes longer. And this is where the solid engineering shows.
Yeah.
Because LLMs are not really reasoning. They are just copy pasting what they've been trained on based on the probability that the next line of code should be this. That's it. There's no logical reasoning involved. So far. So you have to, when you get a big piece of code built by the AI because you told it to, okay, you did your first part of your job, you articulated the solution that the client asked for based on your understanding of the problem. So you came up with that solution, that's good. That's what humans do, they're creative. You ask it to build you something, and then you have to go through that code to find the edge cases. Did it make a massive mistake? Is there a massive security breach somewhere? Is the code logical? Are there flaws somewhere, etc.? But that takes time. That requires deep knowledge. That requires attention to detail. That requires somebody who understands the fundamentals, who understand what libraries they're using, the technologies, be it Laravel or Python or whatever it is. So this is where the quality developer shines, and that is still needed. So this skill set, if you want, this ability to trace well, to be meticulous, to have a very strong attention to detail, this will differentiate average or mediocre coders from the really good ones that get hired. And that's the differentiator. So AI is here, now just learn to build with it and learn to make sure that what it builds actually works. Imagine we've all seen those examples of somebody who was asked to write a cover letter and then they submit something and it starts with, sure, exclamation point. Here is a great cover letter for applying for jobs, because ChatGPT wrote it. And how do you think a recruiter feels like when they see this cover letter? They completely lose respect for the person.
Yeah,
Because,
definitely.
okay, you use the tool, but did you even bother to look at it?
Yeah.
It's like it's a sign of lack of respect for the whatever you're applying for. It's the same thing for all of these things. So the really intelligent, meticulous professional will know how to go through this in detail. And this takes time. This requires a human being, i.e. a coder.
Definitely. I want to take two scenarios. I always love to imagine scenarios and take your opinion on each scenario. Let's say I'm a student just freshly out of high school. For a reason, I want to become a software engineer. Why should I or shouldn't I be a software engineer? So, if I want to decide to be a software engineer, why should I do it? And why am I not qualified to be a software engineer?
I mean, you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy coding. The best software engineers started on their own. They just got into it and they started learning on the internet. They started coding basic things on the side, building basic websites or mobile apps and so on. And they're like, yeah, you know what? I love this. I want to do this all the time. I love the challenge. I love the logic of it, the puzzle you have to put together. Building an app, it's interesting. Okay, how will I do this? How will I build this feature? We've all sometimes got really into it. A while ago, I used to code a bit more than now. And when you dive into something, there's pleasure in it, like solving a problem. So you have to enjoy problem solving in the coding and technology world, and you have to be into that sort of thing. And if you have that natural inclination, natural passion for it, then you go to university and you go into software engineering. You have to really have it. Just say, I'm going to learn coding because it makes money, because it's that. First of all, there's a bit of a slowdown now in hiring junior developers. So it's no longer the slam dunk in terms of getting a job as it was 3-4 years ago. And two, with AI, with all of these things, it's more competitive even than before. You have to stand out. The only way to stand up is to really love what you do. You read on the latest technologies because you want to. You download the latest LLM on your local machine because you want to play with it and have fun with it. You have that natural curiosity based on the fact that you actually enjoy this. If you have that, you'll still always stay up to date because you find it fun.
Definitely. For people that are born to be leaders or born to be entrepreneurs, when do you think is it the right time to shift from a technical career to this entrepreneurial or business journey?
Good question. Starting a business is very hard. Even if it's a small business, it's just hard because you have to build everything from scratch if you think about it. So similarly to you need to have something in you that makes you interested about becoming a software engineer. Similarly, you want to scratch an itch, there's something driving you to think about this new idea or this new business project you want to work on. You have to have this kind of impetus or this compulsion to do it. Also, the type of work of an entrepreneur is very different from just coding. In a coding world, it's a bit more, okay, I have to build projects, I deliver them, I'm good. I work with my team a little bit. Entrepreneurship, it's all about working with people. You have to enjoy this. Anyway, obviously, if you have a co-founder, you can distribute roles. But still, you also have to appreciate or enjoy the risk or at least be comfortable with the high risk of starting a business. It might all fail and you've wasted, maybe not wasted, but you spent 3, 4, 5 years on it and didn't go anywhere. So it's not, I always say entrepreneurship, it's not for everyone. Entrepreneurship, it's like the Olympics of business, if you want. It's very hard. But just because you and I enjoy playing basketball doesn't mean we want to become Olympians in basketball. There's a big difference between somebody who does it for fun and somebody who wants to be a professional at that, as you can for any sport. Entrepreneurship, think of it as a sport. You have to really be dedicated to building a successful business where you offer a product or service that is good enough that people will give you money for it. Not easy, but I think if you ever so a good way to think about it is I always recommend people to build some experience, build some work experience, because it helps you build self-confidence. It helps you understand yourself, what you're good at and not so good at, but also it helps you build a network. You've worked in a big company, let's say, or in multiple companies, you know people. There are people you can talk to. Maybe you can identify problems there that you can build solutions for. The network matters. And the older you get, the more important the network is, more than skill. So I always, in my approach, my view is that wait a bit. Don't start right out of university. Build some experience, build the network, build experience and expertise in an industry, and then try to find problems in that industry that you can solve with the product or service. And then you can take the leap of faith. That's, in my view, the better track for entrepreneurship.
If you're a pure technical person, like you're not built to talk with people, but you have a a great idea that you can implement, is it a good idea to find someone who's good at people and partner with?
I mean, obviously, all the scenarios have been seen. You've had massively technical people who did things on their own and succeeded, massively. Generally speaking as an ex-VC, what we would see the most and what we would like the most is two co-founders. Three is unstable. One of the three is always usually doing less work, and it creates friction and tension and all that. Two co-founders is rock solid. And oftentimes the scenario you see or the distribution of roles is that one is more internally focused, within the organization, building the product, all of these things. And one is more externally focused. So business development and talking to investors. Oftentimes you see that subdivision, and that works very well. Two co-founders that work well together, it's like a good marriage. It's not often that it happens, and it's super important. So that's one way to do it. So yes, you can be a mostly technical co-founder, very more introverted. But in this case, maybe if your business is a type that require a lot of business development, some don't. Then it might make sense to get a co-founder that you really gel with, that you understand well. Yeah.
What do you think is the most will be the most wanted track this year? Track, I mean, would it be cloud engineering, web developers, or what is the expertise that would be most wanted or hot this year?
I mean, AI is really, really hot. If VCs work in waves and trends, so now everything that's AI, they want to touch it somehow. This is if you have a business. So it's good to know about this. Even if you're not technical, understand how AI and ChatGPT and LLMs and all of these things work. Play with them. Whatever your industry is, develop some sort of ability in using this tool for your work. In case you're changing jobs or applying for jobs and so on, they will ask you most likely about these things, especially if it's disrupting their work. Obviously, if you're a mason or a plumber or something that is very physical, that doesn't require necessarily this kind of AI, might not be as relevant. But generally speaking, we're talking about knowledge work here. And almost every industry is disrupted in one way or the other by the LLMs. So it's good to be up to date on these things in general. That's what I think is important. So especially in tech, if you're a coder, just start playing with the LLMs. Download local LLMs. I did it, and I'm not the most advanced technical person. And start implementing them. Play with Olama or the open source ones. Use the APIs. Build your own agent. Now we have MCP and all of these things to help you build agents. Just have that, and then deploy them. And then during the interview, if anything, your interviewer will be interested to talk to you, because instead of asking you boring, the same questions all the time, they're like, oh, wow, you built an agent. Okay, tell me about this. What did you do it? How do you do it? And so the more your interviewer is talking to you, the more likely they're going to like you and hire you.
Yeah.
So it's good to be up to date on these things.
Definitely. Before wrapping up, let's make it a bit interesting for business people. At HR Factory, I'm very curious. Would you be hiring someone maybe in investment banking, in VC, in economics, finance? So if I have a business background or finance background, can I reach out to HR Factory for a job, or do you just hire on demand?
People do reach out to us, and we tell them we add you to our database, and we are very much demand driven by the client. So the clients tell us we want to build. We had a client who wanted to hire FX traders, so finance people. So we're like, this is great for Lebanon. We have so many people who used to work in banking, for example, and a lot of people study finance, right? And then we help them find and hire the FX traders for them. And we had some in our database already. So people just apply, we add them to the database, and we just go through it whenever clients come in and need to build a local team for that. So yes, absolutely.
If you had to rebuild a C factory again from scratch in a different country, where would it be?
A different country?
Yeah. Would it change the whole business model?
You ask very good questions. So there are differences, of course. The purchasing power in other countries would be higher. So here, for example, we have a success-based business model. So first of all, students who graduate only pay us if they get a job. So this will make it available for everyone. There's a social impact element to it.
Also, basically, if I registered and got accepted into SC Factory and I finished the bootcamp and then didn't get a job, I wouldn't pay anything.
No, you only pay like an entrance fee of like $10, an application fee. Yeah. Within a year, you sign a contract with us that says, if I get a job within a year, I will pay back SC Factory X amount of money.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if they get a job and you don't know about it?
Well, we have a contract with them. And you know, most people...
If they get a job through SC Factory, of course.
Yeah.
And if they get a job on their own?
I mean, most of them are honorable and they just pay us. Anyways, we have a legal contract with us, and we can take action if we want to, which we never really want to, but we do. We follow up with them on a daily basis. We can see what they're doing on LinkedIn. But again, most people are just honest, and they just, I have a contract, I got a job, thank you SC Factory, and I'm going to pay you back. So that works well. Now, in terms of another country, I mean, if it would help if we were in a bigger country. So if you're in Turkey, there's 80 million people, I think, in Turkey. Much bigger
choice. Bigger choice. Yeah.
First of all, you more talent, but also you can build larger teams for larger clients. So if a client wants to hire a team of 20, 30, 40, 50 in a shot, it helps. It also helps if it's a country that's with a bit more stability. You want to build a remote team in Lebanon, but 6 months ago we were being bombed. So obviously what I tell the clients is that we didn't lose a single client because... Why didn't we lose a single client during the war? Because their teams were still functional. The Lebanese are, we don't like to use that term, but they are resilient. They were coding and working and designing or whatever they were for their foreign client. And in Norway, in France, working continuously, despite the issues we had, because we just adapt and move on. So this is good. But if we had stability, obviously more companies would be likely to take the risk of building a remote team in Lebanon. Because it's seen as a smaller risk. So we have to take these factors into account, and these are real factors. I mean, I love my country, but these are real factors too that can get in the way sometimes of getting work done. But so far, so good.
To wrap up this episode, what would be something you would say to anyone that a recommendation that would give anyone that's in a phase of their life where they're searching for a job, either in tech, in business, finance, whatever? Just a recommendation to help them get a job.
Yeah. So I would give 2 recommendations to 2 different types. There's those who are looking for work, and also actually, in case they get that message, companies outside considering Lebanon as a remote work destination, which I highly recommend, obviously. But for the first one, first of all, don't get discouraged. It is a global market for talent, and you need to find a way to balance between getting the right foundational knowledge, we're talking about coding or tech or anything else, while at the same time building practical experience. There's so much out there on the internet. You could, in theory, learn an entire university degree on YouTube. Like, everything is on the internet. So use that. Don't just rely on university to build your profile. If you're a coder, start coding, start deploying it on GitHub. People will find you. Same for a designer, start building a portfolio. Do not just rely on one source of knowledge. Become a person who self-learns, who develops themselves, who researches, and then you can even talk to people. It's relatively easy to reach out. Most people want to be friendly, want to help out. So you find somebody who's a professional 5 years or 10 years older than you in the field, you talk to them. Oftentimes they will answer you and give you advice and guide you. And this helps you build a network, and they might recommend you for a job. So the most important thing for students, I would tell them, is do not just focus your university years on just studying the material and then nothing else. Develop your profile and your experience and your network in parallel. I think this is very important. And for any companies out there, I think there's enormous talent in Lebanon. The people here are hungry, driven, incredibly robust. They can work under the worst conditions and deliver great value. You know this as well.
100%.
You've worked with companies abroad, and you know what kind of talent we have here. So really, this is a message out there to everyone there that there's so much that we can do in Lebanon, and we're only getting started. The idea is to turn Lebanon into an amazing outsourcing destination, despite all the challenges. And I think it's doable. And we're trying to do our part at SC Factory and HR Factory.
Do you think we're going towards a better place, a more stable
Lebanon?
country? Yeah.
I've learned in Lebanon, you do your part, and you try to diversify your risk. But try to predict the future in Lebanon. It's
Impossible.
problematic.
Fadi, it was an amazing episode, very interesting. You have brilliant ideas. I wish you all the best luck for you and your company. And I hope we record something else soon.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.